Before I continue to speak, before I continue to speak, to talk about my life, the story of my life, I would like to stop for a while and just talk about my feelings on languages, accents, and something that since the age of 6 I've always had to cope with. I found that during my lifetime, whether I lived in France or Israel or this country, generally speaking, since the age of 6, I found that people that I've met throughout my life have always said to me, what a cute accent you have, how charming, how different. And this is really almost a lifespan since the age of 6. That's a hell of a long time to have this follow me. And I've always been extremely self-conscious of it. As cute and charming and all that as it seems to be to other people, I never appreciated it too much. Now, for instance, until I was 6, the only two languages I knew was Yiddish, that was spoken in the home, and Flemish, which was spoken in Antwerp, where I was born. Now, in Brussels, most people speak French. The French in Brussels is different than the French in France. So, when I was 6, all I knew was Yiddish and Flemish. The 5 years I spent in France, I've completely forgot Yiddish and Flemish, of course, and all I spoke was French. Okay, now I returned to Brussels, and I lived 3 years in Brussels with my mother and stepfather, and when I went to school in Brussels again, those 3 years, the boys and girls in the school, my classmates, always looked at me differently, like I was different from them, because I spoke French exactly the way people speak French in France. Now, for instance, the numbers 70, 71, etc., or 90, 91, 92, 93, and so on, those numbers in Brussels, in French, were said differently than in France. So right away I was in a different class. And my French was excellent. It was the real French, the good, supposedly in quote, good French, and their French was more on the jargon side. So this right away put me in a class of itself, and they treated me differently. Almost as if I was a snob and spoke better. Of course I didn't. It was just the language that was spoken in France. After that, the 5 years I lived in Israel, I learned Hebrew very, very fast. At the age of 15, one acquires a new language extremely fast. But then, of course, when I spoke Hebrew, I had a French accent. So that in Israel, it started already. Everybody just adored the accent when I spoke in Hebrew. And there were always comments on it. When I left Israel at the age of 20 and returned to Belgium for a short period of time, my French continued to be the French that I had learned in France. That I never had forgotten, of course. And again, how different she speaks. Her French is so beautiful. Eventually I came to this country. I live here now I live in this country now 21 years. And because I came here at the age of 21, I never lost the accent again. Except it wasn't pure French anymore. It was a mixture of French and Hebrew, since I speak both languages. So again, All these years I've lived in this country, I've had this accent that one can hear now. And, okay, it's so cute, it's so charming, the same business. And the reason I've always felt so self-conscious about accents and languages and all that, mostly my accent, is because I always had the feeling that people listened first to my accent and how different it was than the way they spoke. And it's only after many meetings or many of really knowing me that they would listen to what I had to say, not how I said it. So that first impressions I always gave was the accent and the comments on it, and always where you come from originally, and where this and where that. And it does get very boring after a while. But I can appreciate the curiosity of people. I'm the same way. If I hear someone speak differently, first I try to guess where they come from, and then I would come right out and ask, where do you come from? Which is quite natural. The thing I resent most is that people don't hear what I have to say. They just listen first to the accent, and I find it very annoying. I always did. And I'm very self-conscious. Instead of appreciating, let's say, how cute and charming it was, I would always react in the way that they should just listen to what I had to say, not how I said things. So since the age of 6, I've been blessed with these different accents throughout my life, and always hearing comments, how charming, where do you come from, how many languages do you speak, etc., etc. Now, this is not going to be a put down, even though it may sound like it, but I do speak 4 languages fluently, and most people are very impressed with that, especially the Americans. I always wished that I could be articulate. It doesn't matter in what language, and I always felt a lack of it. I also, at different times in my life, I was active in different organizations, community events, and I could never get up and speak in front of people, and mostly it was the accent. Now, instead of taking advantage of it and making it sound even, I could exaggerate the accent and make the most of it, I would minimize it. I couldn't pretend I didn't have it. I could never really speak the way an American would speak, but I could have taken full advantage of it. But I never did because of feeling very self-conscious of it. I wish sometimes that I would have taken advantage of it and ignored the fact that after 2-3 minutes of speaking, people will get over the accent and really listen to what I have to say, not just to ponder on the accent and all that business. There is another feeling I'd like to express regarding languages and accents. Either people would address themselves directly to me and say, what languages do you speak? Or where do you come from, and then deduce what language I speak. And okay, that wasn't bad. But many times people would want to guess. And I didn't care what their guess was, whether it was French or Hebrew, or whether they thought it's from Holland or Romania or whichever accent they thought it was. It didn't bother me. It was a game that everybody was playing, and I waited till they guessed right, and if they didn't, I would then mention it to them. But because of the mixture of French and Hebrew, very often people would think it was a German accent. Well, that was absolutely a horror. immediately I would hate them, and I would just put them down and say how stupid that was. Anything to do with German accents or German anything, I cringe. I simply cringe. I would hate anyone who would guess that it was a German accent. This is a very old hang-up I have. I still have it. Till today I won't buy anything made in Germany. When I hear people speaking with English with a German accent, I right away retracting myself. I dislike them automatically, instantly. And unfortunately, even Jews from Germany who speak English with a German accent, I would cringe from them also. I'd say to myself, well, they're Jewish, so it's all right. But I really dislike the accent so tremendously. It just didn't matter. I find that anyway, German Jews are extremely arrogant and feel superior to the rest of us. So, of all the Jews, the German Jew, in my feelings about the German Jew is very, very low. I keep saying, well, they're Jewish, so it's all right, but deep down, I really dislike them. Anyway, this is the feeling that I had to express, that since the age of 6, I never spoke, in whatever country I was, I never spoke the way they did. So this has lasted with me all my life. It's not it's not a traumatic effect. I mean, it's not that important or anything. It's just that I've always had to live with it, and it always put me apart from other people. And the main reason it put me apart was that at first meeting with anyone, this was the first thing that came to their mind, is the accent and the questioning and where I came from. And so there was never natural rapport as when two other people would meet one another. So that I've always been extremely conscious of it, and that's really about it. I just thought I should mention my feelings on languages and accent. And mostly what I really want to say is that that one should really not pay attention to another human being with an accent. They should really listen to what they have to say without pondering on that question, and then later on finally accept what the person had to say. That's my feeling on that. One more thing I have to mention regarding languages is that for a very long time I've had a feeling that living in different countries and learning different languages, it seems to me that there isn't one that I actually speak fluently at this point. I don't think my English is good. I still know French, and I read a lot in French, but I don't think my French is fluent or excellent, or since I don't use it every day. As far as my Hebrew is concerned, there's so many words that I blank out on that I cannot speak Hebrew fluently anymore. And Yiddish is really the hardest of them all. I understand every word, but it's very difficult for me to find the right words. So here a lot of people might admire the fact that I speak 4 languages, but I'm so not satisfied with myself, because of all the 4 languages, there isn't one I speak fluently, and I feel very bad about that. I always did. This put me apart. Not that people put me apart, but I myself feel that I lack a lot in communicating correctly in any of those languages fluently. I do feel very, very bad about that. But of course, there's nothing I can do about it.